Hello my treasures, it's time for some dragons to take over standard Hearthstone, but not in the class that you expected, but a Dragon Paladin instead. The essential idea behind this deck is we're going to be buffing up all of the really low-cost battlecry dragons that exist in standard, using things like Snapdragon and Grim Street in order to be able to slam down a bunch of minions with both Divine Shield and Taunt and big bodies, which will allow us to finish off our opponents really quickly. Alright, now for the Mulligan guide. One key card to look for is Snapdragon. This will allow you to get your buffs online for all of the low-cost battlecry minions. Besides this, you're going to be looking for things like Mistakes, so you actually have a turn 1 play, or any of the 2-cost minions, especially Hi-Ho Silverwing, as this will always guarantee you a draw into Keeper Strength that can actually win you quite a few games. Honestly speaking, any of the cards in this deck that cost 4 or lower that aren't named Time Lost or Flight of the Bronze are great to keep in your starting hand. Now, with that all being said, let's look at some games. Okay, time for a game against Priest. I'm curious of what type of Priest deck they're going to actually be running here. Okay, so this is one of the versions that I was still running Azure Drake. I ended up cutting it out because it was a late game draw card and we didn't really need too much additional draw since we do have Astral Serpent. I also cut out Hand of Adol, which may or may not come up in this game in particular, but that got replaced with Hi-Ho Silverwing, which just gives you a more consistent turn 1 or 2 play because you normally don't really have anything to do turn 1, so Hand of Adol just feels worse. And we also cut out the Azure Drakes for Keeper's Strength, if I remember right. Actually, maybe not. I think we might have cut it out for... Thank you for the free minion, I guess. I'll take that in a heartbeat. Okay, do we want a Hand of Adol or just coin out Bronze Explorer here? I swear there was a lower cost dragon that I ended up including in the list that wasn't Hi-Ho Silverwing. Because some of the initial versions... Oh, I shouldn't say initial. There were about 2 or 3 games where I used Showdown and Prismatic Lens as AoE or ways to trigger the AoE. I don't know if this is the version that also includes. But I ended up including a lot more early game dragons just because the curve felt a little bit too high overall, I would say. Okay, Time Warden is actually a really good card to randomly generate. It does give us a lot of advantage. This does not tell me what type of priest deck they're playing. I'm curious if they're playing a Reno version of the list. I know there was one floating around with Rivendare. Rivendare is also another card I haven't done anything with in a long time. I'm trying to think of what class I could easily do Rivendare in is the main problem, or the main hurdle, I should say. Okay, let's just go face. And might as well hero power. Might as well, right? That won't ever backfire on us. If this was against Hunter, it could with Hollowed Hound, but I don't think people are running the Hollowed Hound combo that much anymore. Though I do know it does still technically exist. I actually haven't faced too much Hunter, which is interesting to say. This deck actually doesn't feel the worst against Hunter either, because you do have Keeper Strength, or at least in the Finnish version you do, right? Alright. Let's just slam down as many dragons as we possibly can get, and then go face. We could get rid of the 3/3, but I think it's probably better in the long run just to hit their face as much as humanly possible, as quickly as possible, I should say. Well, give them a blast from the past, I guess, with all the dragons that we're running. I also thought about doing something with, like, Dragon Priest, and then, I don't know. I thought this would be a neat idea. Like, this idea was something that I'm like, huh, maybe this would be better in the long run, but honestly speaking, at this point, I think, I don't know. I think this has more potential than the Thief Dragon Priest deck that I had thought of. There's also a Reno version that we could easily try to run instead too. That's not always going to work the best with like Time Loss Drake, because I would love to be able to randomly get... The main thing I really wanted to accomplish with this deck, I don't know if any of the games that I played this happened. Actually, it did happen, but every time they got destroyed. I want to get Alexstrasza as a random generation off of good old Proto Drake. Send them for a loop. Okay, let's grab Alexstrasza. We can put down the Drake to draw a card. I really think this version probably isn't even... I'm trying to remember what I ended up... Like, I remember what I removed from this version. I just don't remember what I replaced it with is the problem. Because I'm pretty sure I ran Keeper's Strength in this version of the list. I'm like 80% sure that that statement is 100% true. So there's really, I don't want to do the math. I was going to say there's like a 20%, well, it isn't truly a 20% odd. It's like a 10% odd that I was not running Keeper's Strength, if I did my math right. It still annoys me that Aman'Thul went to Priest instead of Paladin, because Aman'Thul was the one that empowered the bronze aspects, or the bronze dragons, which means, like, wouldn't it have made more sense to give it to the class with all the bronze dragons, right? Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, yes, Priest does, or has historically had the infinite dragons instead, which are like corrupted versions of, but that doesn't make sense. It should be the opposite way around. The corrupted version should, not have the Titan that empowered them. Okay, let's buff everything else up. Slam these down. Because we didn't have enough mana for another dragon anyways, we might as well just get... Oh, that's actually an interesting card to get. That 7-cost minion is always cool. Like, I wish there was a better home for him, right? Or they actually did something with that idea instead of just having it as a one-off card in Paladin. Like, sending cards into the future would have been a very, very neat idea for Paladin. Could have gave something unique to Paladin. Like, Paladin, I'm trying to think of the last package that Paladin got that was, like, interesting. I guess Dance Paladin? Oh, Earthen Paladin. Earthen Paladin does exist. I forgot Earthen Paladin. I don't know how I forgot Earthen Paladin. It's probably one of the strongest Paladin decks that currently exist in Standard. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure we just gotta drop this, right? I don't think we have much of a chance otherwise. Slam down Razor Scale. Maybe it'll come up. For them at least, right? The other thing I really wanted to catch on camera was, like, screwing someone over with a Thaddeus combo with Razor Scale and then just making them instantly give up, which may or may not happen in a later game. It depends on your interpretation of it. Oh, Popgar. You know, that card's not as frightening when it's randomly discovered by Priest instead of Warlock. Okay, there's Aman'Thul. They're at full HP. I think we're just going to slam this down, get a body on board. And then we're going to have to somehow deal with the entire wide board that's about to be summoned back. I'm, like, again, 90% sure that I do run Keeper's Strength. There's no way I don't run Keeper's Strength. Also, are they going to summon out a bunch of minions and then, like, they're not getting their minions back by doing this? Sometimes I question what my opponents do, especially when it's this early on. We are running Keeper's Strength. What card am I not running then? Keeper's Strength number 2. Because I know Hi-Ho we're not running, right? That's like 100% we're not running it. But Azure Drake was cut for something else. Oh, Daring Drake. That's what we ended up cutting it for. The reason why I ended up cutting it for Daring Drake was Daring Drake actually has some board pressure on the previous turn before you can actually do something with Azure. And with Azure, I'm not actually running any cards to easily abuse the card anyway, so there was no reason for the additional spell power. We didn't need it, I should say. Well, you know, it's lucky for us we have that second Keeper Strength in hand. You know, that feels really lucky right about now. Just say goodbye to your board. Can we get something cool? Let's go with Explorer. Slam down the Explorer, I think. And then we can see what we can grab. Additional draw is always good. I will say One-Amalgam Ban is a card that you could probably end up cutting out of the list. Like, It definitely has its home in the deck. It just, I don't know. A lot of the time, you don't have too many targets. If we had a more menagerie list, I think it would be better. Let's just slam down the 10-10. Okay, there's Shade Leaf. And there's Fan Club. So they're up to 13 HP. This is actually, never mind. I was going to say this is going to look real bad, but I'm pretty sure we'll amalgam and then One-Amalgam ban. But we have Flight of the Bronze. I'm going to grab the one draw. Going to grab that. And if we had that in the opposite order, it would have been a lot better. We're going to try to overwhelm their board. I kind of want to get One-Amalgam ban here, but I think we'll go for Explorer and see if we can test our luck a little bit more. Ooh. Time Warden to get some more Divine Shields next turn. And unless they have a clear Whirlpool. Okay. Well, there goes that dream. But they are Reno, so that means that's the only Whirlpool that they own. And One-Amalgam ban is buffed up a bunch, so... And it's definitely a mistake to have Mistake at the bottom of the deck, right? Alright, I think we got it. There definitely is one out I could see. Hopefully they don't run Behemoth, but knowing my luck, they probably do. Okay, so the only way we win is by hit. Yes, perfect. And it's just GG. Okay, time for a game against Druid. What do they have in store for us today? Ooh, honestly, yeah, let's get rid of those two. Keep Hi-Ho because Hi-Ho guarantees us keeper strength. This hand looks way better than it did before. Like, way better. I am amazed at that. Holy shit. Okay, let's use Mistake. Actually, no, let's not use Mistake. Because if we save Mistake, we can use it with one of the Time Wardens later on in the game. Next turn, we'll probably slam down Hi-Ho just to slam down Hi-Ho, though. Because it's a Hi-Ho we go, Hi-Ho we go. I don't know where I was going with that song. I am kind of curious what we'll see in the mini set, right? Okay, so we are going to be trying to minimize the amount of minions that stick on the board, I think. Though we might go for Grim Street first and then slam down the Mistake. This does give us... it gives us more minions on the board than they have minions, which is good. And it also does kind of taunt them into just getting rid of Hi-Ho right there. Okay, I guess they're not going to. But here's the question. Oh, actually, I guess we don't really care about it. I was going to say, do we coin out or do we just get rid of at least one minion with Amber? Because I want them to overextend, right? That's the underlying goal. Like, if there's only 3 minions, there's no reason to use Keeper Strength, to be honest. Okay, now, I kind of want to slam down Daring, but Amalgam into, or Time Warding into Amalgam. I'm going to grab Deathwing, and we're going to get rid of one minion. I know, we're an aggro deck. We shouldn't be really trading in any minions, but I never claimed to make good decisions now, did I? Okay, please overextend, please. Come on, keep overextending. Like, it sucks for us because... Oh, now that's a predicament. No, it isn't. I was going to say we could use Flight of the Bronze next turn to get the minion up. That's always a really good combo in this deck in particular, is the fact that Flight of the Bronze plus Keeper Strength basically guarantees a 7 board clear, which is something that you don't expect in the deck, but it definitely became like one of my go-to combos. Okay, let's use Time Warden. Flight to grab Amalgam, I think. We don't have enough spells in the deck for Malagos, to be honest. Though, again, Malygos is one of those cards, or at least that version of Malygos, I haven't actually done anything with in a long, long time, which could be cool. Like, it's definitely a long overdue. Well, you know, this is why we played how we did. Okay, Amalgam and Amalgam and Daring. That gets us basically 6 taunts because Divine Shields work. You can also see what we can randomly generate here. Oh, Sunspot's interesting, but I'm going to go for Bronze probably. Actually, we could go for Whelp. Whelp actually does some direct damage, or not direct, board clears. Though I do think probably going for Sunspot probably would have been the best solution there. We're also just going to try to draw some cards. And we should get rid of at least 2 of the minions so we don't have to deal with them later. Though we probably should have used different minions there to attack in a different order. Anything cool for a top deck? Oh, Keeper Strength number 2. Okay, maybe we won't need to use Deathwing. We'll probably want to use Keeper Strength before Deathwing, would be my assumption. I will say, though, Keeper Strength plus Bronze Explorer does not work how you want it to work. Sadly, as I have found out through testing this. There's actually a lot of combos that I think of, and I'm like, yeah, this would be cool to pull off, and then I look into it, I'm like, oh, wait, you can't pull that off. That doesn't actually work how you want it to work. And it's a GG from here. Get rid of the board and just go face. Good old Divine Shield. Okay, time for a game against Warlock. Let's see what they have in store for us. This opener does not look that good. I don't mind having one of the Astrals, but I think we're just going to get rid of both of them. This hand looks a little bit better. Not where I would want it to be, but a little bit better. There's Tour Guide. Okay, so Grim Street, we're going to slam one down. Next turn, we'll probably slam down the second. I don't really want to waste it on 2 minions, but I think that's better than just slamming down the Time Wardens when we get no advantage off of them at all. We could chain Time Wardens turn by turn, but again, I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's time to put down this Outfitter. Honestly, this is one of the matchups where Razor Scale could come up, because it is looking like this is going to be Thaddeus Warlock. Like, I'm 80% sure that that's what this is going to end up being, right? I have no proof, but having a card in the deck that basically turns off like any instant win conditions for a lot of classes is hilarious. Sure, it only delays it by a turn, but 1 turn can be enough to finish stuff off. Okay. I mean, that is a good trade, don't get me wrong, but I think you're going to regret that later on. At least they got rid of... I think that was the second one of that they got rid of. Alright, let's slam down Time Warden number 2. We are going to basically be chaining them. And the next turn we can do Amber, Whelp, and Bronze Explorer probably. We could also use Razor Scale. This is around the turn where Warlock tries to pull off a combo a lot of the time. Okay. Shuffling cards back into their deck. Doesn't tell me much information. Let's use Bronze Explorer, see what we grab. One-Amalgam ban, probably. Actually, Ysera could have been good too. Then let's just do some face damage and then hope they don't have combo yet. Also didn't really want to use Razor Scale right now, just because it would put a Taunt and Divine Shield on it. The Divine Shield's good, the Taunt not so much. Oh, is it going to get a little bit chaotic in here? Reminds me, I should do a Yogg-based deck again. Because I didn't do anything Yogg-based after... well, A, the nerf, but B, like, the Rogue deck that I originally put out. Way back when it came out. Okay. Talion. Okay, now we know next turn they'll have Thaddeus no matter what. Well, actually, I should say no matter what. Probably no matter what. Oh, daring's interesting. We're feeling a bit daring here. We're going to go face. And I think it's time to scale or test the scales of fate by slamming down Razor Scale. Now, did this work for us? Or is it a big mistake? Huh? Okay. I think this is just GG. Let's go. It was Thaddeus. All right, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the deck. So, across the 40 games I played with the deck, I had a 45% win rate, which was not what I originally had hoped for the deck. However, because 2024 is the year of the dragon, I figured it would be really cool to try to have one of the first decks of the year be a dragon-based deck, and I didn't want to do something in Druid, which I knew would probably be better. Honestly speaking, though, this deck does have a lot of potential, even though it is going to be losing a lot of the cards in its rotation. If for some reason the mini set decides to print a 1-cost dragon in the neutral pool or in the dragon pool, I think this deck could be incredibly strong. Because honestly speaking, the main weakness of the deck is you don't really have that many turn 1 plays, and the room in the deck is a little bit tight. Honestly speaking, I can't recommend the deck just because it isn't the strongest deck, and it isn't something that you're going to easily be able to climb with. Now, with that all being said, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, bye-bye.